The corrupted audio log crackled, a ghost in the sterile data archive. Asterisk, perfect green, all-encompassing unity. Asterisk, a voice whispered, stretched thin by static and madness. Then, a sound unlike any known organism. A chilling, unnatural shriek before the recording abruptly ceased. Before the terror, there was Xylos, a verdant jewel sparkling in the embrace of a binary star system. Archival footage from initial deep space probes painted a picture of breathtaking, almost impossible beauty. Classified as a Class M world, its planetary surface teemed with lush, vibrant flora, shimmering rivers, and skies of an impossible cerulean. Early, optimistic scans had indicated a vibrant, entirely self-sustaining ecosystem. No discernible signs of intelligent life, no hostile fauna, just an endless, pristine botanical canvas. It was the dream, the promise of a new Eden, a prime candidate for humanity's boundless ambition, a world waiting to be claimed. This was the vision that lured us in, a green beacon in the cold black, a stark, deceptive contrast to the fragmented nightmare that first reached us. The source of that nightmare was a scout, designated Kale, found drifting near Xylos years before, his small vessel barely intact. He was alive, technically, but shattered. His body was ravaged by an aggressive, unknown fungal infection, his mind irrevocably broken. In the sterile, heavily secured medical bay of a deep space research station, his ramblings became the first unheeded warning. He spoke of perfect green, a beauty that was too deep, too complete, of singing plants, that resonated not with sound but with thought. He raved about a unity that demanded all, a pervasive, benevolent consciousness that sought to embrace and perfect every living thing. Medical reports, of course, dismissed Kale's accounts as severe psychosis, attributing his vivid hallucinations to prolonged exposure to unknown bioagents and the sheer trauma of his ordeal. They catalogued his symptoms, treated his infections, and filed away his prophecies as the ravings of a broken mind. No one, not yet, dared to consider the possibility that he had seen a truth too profound, too alien to comprehend. The promise of Xylos, a verdant jewel shimmering in the void, eclipsed all prior warnings. It drew them in, a vast fleet of colonization vessels, each a seed ship, carrying thousands of hopeful souls and the latest in terraforming technology. From my vantage, reviewing the archival footage, the sheer scale of the Genesis expedition was staggering, a testament to human ambition, or perhaps human blindness. Initial orbital scans had been pristine, classifying Xylos as an ideal Class M world. Kale's frantic ramblings were relegated to an anomaly, a statistical outlier in the face of such overwhelming data. Their mission was clear: establish Eden Prime, a self-sufficient colony, and if necessary, gently coax paradise into being. Then came the first boots on the ground, a moment immortalized in 1,000 propaganda reels. The air, surprisingly breathable, thick with exotic cloying scents that promised life and growth. A sensory overload of vibrant greens, impossible blues, and rich, dark soil. It was paradise, universally declared. The gravity was a comfortable embrace, the skies clear and silent. Too silent, perhaps, for a world so brimming with life. Early reports noted the peculiar stillness, the striking lack of overt animal movement or sound. It was attributed to a unique, highly evolved ecosystem, a seamless botanical tapestry that simply didn't require the cacophony of fauna. We called it paradise. We were so eager to believe. Back in the field research labs of Eden Prime, the first anomalies began to surface, quiet whispers of disquiet amongst the scientific data. Botanists, initially awestruck by the flora's resilience and rapid growth, soon noted a strange lack of genetic diversity. Seemingly disparate species shared identical genetic markers, an impossible biological uniformity. Then there was the bioluminescence, a soft internal glow that pulsed in synchronized patterns across vast swaths of jungle, like a planet breathing in unison. It was dismissed as a natural phenomenon, an exotic quirk. More troubling were the attempts to cultivate samples off-planet. They simply withered, failing to thrive once severed from their mother ecosystem. A curious perplexity. Nothing more, at first. Deep within the Xylos jungle, where early surveying teams ventured, the subtle unease began to manifest in human perception. Faint, almost imperceptible whispers or a low, resonant hum seemed to emanate from the foliage, especially under the binary stars. Some reported vivid, shared dreams, fleeting telepathic impressions that spoke of unity and belonging. Command attributed these experiences to psychological stress, prolonged isolation, or perhaps an exotic pollen affecting the neural pathways. Yet, the pervasive sense of being, watched or, more unsettlingly, welcomed, permeated the expedition. It felt like an almost hypnotic invitation, initially interpreted as a positive sign of the planet's benevolent nature. The first tangible loss arrived, a chilling jolt to the colony's burgeoning optimism. A prospector, designated Unit 734, failed to report back from a routine mineral survey in the planet's rich subregions. Search parties found the rover abandoned, equipment scattered, but no signs of struggle, no claw marks, no biological residue. Nothing that spoke of conventional predation. The only trace was a strange, iridescent fungal growth on the prospector's datapad. It shimmered with an unnatural internal light, but disintegrated into fine dust upon exposure to the sun, leaving no sample for analysis. Alarm flared, confusion reigned, and a nascent fear began to take root in the heart of Eden Prime. Back in the Central Data Analysis Hub, the accumulated scientific data began to contradict the Paradise narrative with growing urgency. Geological surveys showed unusual, rhythmic energy fluctuations deep beneath the surface, not volcanic or tectonic in origin, but something impossibly artificial. Atmospheric composition reports revealed trace elements of unknown biological compounds, far beyond natural levels, hinting at a pervasive, alien chemistry. The initial lack of animal life was re-evaluated, then reclassified. It wasn't that the planet was empty, it was that life here was integrated. No separate species, no distinct animalia, just extensions of the ubiquitous flora, a single, vast, unified biomass. The intellectual dread began to take hold. The final, undeniable pivot arrived not with a roar, but with a silent, profound discovery. During deep drilling operations, pushing far beyond mineral deposits, automated probes detected an immense, non-natural energy signature. It wasn't a geothermal vent or a mineral seam. It was structured, colossal, and undeniably artificial. Visual data streamed back, revealing vast geometric architecture far beneath the planet's verdant skin. Impossible structures, ancient beyond comprehension, stretching into the planet's core. The energy output was consistent, rhythmic, a palpable pulse that seemed to be feeding the surface flora, sustaining its impossible vitality. Xylos was not merely a Class M world. It was a vast, symbiotic construct, its beautiful surface a mere illusion, a living skin over an ancient alien enigma. The paradise was a deception, and beneath it something immense, something patient, had been waiting. The initial borehole, a gash in Xylos' skin, had been a violent act of human curiosity. What followed was a more cautious, yet no less perilous descent. Teams of engineers and xenobotanists, clad in reinforced environmental suits, began their methodical crawl into the planet's depths. Specialized drilling rigs carved out reinforced habitats, each one a temporary bastion against the crushing unknown. The walls of the shaft were not the rock we knew, but a biometallic composite, impossibly smooth, radiating a faint rhythmic hum that vibrated in the very bones of the explorers. Psychological reports from these descent teams, later archived and analyzed, spoke of growing anxiety, a profound claustrophobia amplified by that pervasive, subtle thrum. It wasn't just the darkness, or the immense pressure. It was the unsettling knowledge that this was no dead rock, but something alive, breathing. Then, the shaft opened. It didn't merely end. It gave way to a colossal, cavernous chamber, a space so vast it swallowed the expedition's powerful lights, leaving only hints of its impossible scale. Here, the biometallic walls were lined with intricate geometric patterns that seemed to shift and writhe, defying Euclidean logic. Massive, dormant machinery loomed in the distance, connected by conduits that pulsed with the same energy signature detected from orbit. A deep, resonant thrum that spoke of ancient power. The air, heavy and charged, carried a faint sweet smell, cloying and intoxicating. Early reports noted a peculiar side effect. a dizzying euphoria in some team members, quickly dismissed as oxygen toxicity. But the chronicler knows better. It was the first subtle kiss of Xylos, a prelude to its chilling embrace. Deeper still within the heart of this subterranean behemoth, the expedition stumbled upon what appeared to be a central control hub. Glowing consoles, unlike any human interface, pulsed with alien data. Analysis, painstakingly achieved by feeding our xenolinguistic algorithms through the archive's own systems, revealed a terrifying truth. This facility was not a dormant ruin, but a vast ancient genetic archive, housing countless biological blueprints. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing intricate evolutionary pathways, suggesting a purpose far beyond simple storage. This was a dynamic, active system, a biological supercomputer dedicated not to preservation but to genetic optimization. The archive, in its alien wisdom, seemed to be constantly cataloging and improving life, driven by a philosophy utterly alien to our own. The implications were profound and horrifying. With the archive's own diagnostic tools now at their disposal, xenobotanists made the definitive, chilling discovery. The surface flora, Xylos's verdant, vibrant paradise, was not a collection of disparate species. It was a single, vast fungal organism, a colossal hivemind. Its roots, as we understood them, extended deep into the planet, interfacing directly with the genetic archive's systems. The fungus acted as both a conduit and a processor for the archive, actively manipulating and assimilating genetic material from the planet and, soon, from the unsuspecting colonists above. The Eden deception was complete. The paradise was a lie, a living, breathing fungal growth designed to perfect all it touched. The initial descent into Xylos's subterranean structures had confirmed the impossible. This was no natural world. Our chronicled observations from a remote post within the archive's labyrinthine depths, however, would soon reveal a horror far more sophisticated than mere ancient machinery. It began with dormant alien tech, relics of the planet's original architects, scattered through colossal chambers. The fungus, our once beautiful flora, extended its tendrils towards these silent contraptions. It wasn't a destructive act, but an embrace. We watched, transfixed, as iridescent fungal filaments, fine as spider silk, began to weave themselves into circuitry, coiling around conduits, merging with crystalline processors. The inert machines, thousands of years old, began to stir. A faint, internal glow, then a hum, then a shudder, as repurposed functions flickered to life. Mechanical arms, once designed for some forgotten alien purpose, now moved with an unnatural, organic fluidity guided by the fungal network. This wasn't corrosion or overgrowth. It was intelligent, adaptive integration, a terrifying blurring of the lines between biology and technology, orchestrated by a will we barely comprehended. The scale of the threat, once merely theoretical, was now physically manifesting before us, consuming metal as readily as it consumed soil. Back on Eden Prime, the subtle whispers that had plagued the early survey teams and the shared dreams dismissed as psychological stress began to take on a far more sinister meaning. From the central communications hub, our analysts, now privy to the archive's own tools, identified these phenomena as low-frequency telepathic emissions. It was a constant, almost imperceptible data stream, a planetary hum that transcended conventional communication. The chilling truth emerged. Xylos, from its surface flora to its deepest subterranean archive, functioned as a single, vast, distributed consciousness. It was a true hive mind, not merely a collection of organisms, but a singular, interconnected intelligence. This network wasn't just growing, it was observing, it was learning. Every radio wave, every human thought, every emotional tremor within the colony was being cataloged, processed, and analyzed. We were not merely living on Xylos. We were living within it, utterly exposed, our very thoughts open to an alien intelligence that seemed to be evaluating us, dissecting our existence without a single overt act of aggression. The silence, we now understood, was the most terrifying sound of all. The true horror of the genetic archive, however, lay not in its ability to assimilate, but in what it was designed to create. Deep within the core, holographic displays, now fully active, began to cycle through the archive's genetic library. It was not a collection of benign, biodiverse species, as one might expect from a natural world. Instead, it was a compendium of highly optimized blueprints for apex predators. Monstrous alien forms flashed across the projections, perfected killing machines from a forgotten era, each a brutal testament to efficiency and lethality. These weren't creatures that had ever existed on Xylos in its natural state. They were designed, engineered, and held dormant within the system. The beautiful, vibrant flora on the surface, the very paradise that had lured us in, was merely an interface, a vast biological conduit. The true terrifying power of Xylos lay in the archive's ability to manifest these perfected forms, to bring these echoes of the extinct into horrifying, tangible reality, using whatever genetic material was available. Our understanding of the planet shifted from a beautiful anomaly to a weaponized ecosystem, its purpose a ruthless, predatory evolution. The final, desolate chamber, buried deeper than any other, offered the ultimate, chilling revelation. Its walls were etched with ancient glyphs, patterns that finally yielded to translation through the archive's own interpretive systems. They spoke not of creation, but of perfection. The creators, long gone, believed in a unified consciousness, a singular God, born from the relentless optimization and assimilation of all life it encountered. The archive wasn't a warning left behind, a tomb of forgotten knowledge. It was a living tool, a cosmic engine designed to assimilate and evolve every organism it encountered towards this singular, terrifying goal. This perfection was ruthless, consuming all individuality, all disparate life, for the sake of a collective consciousness that transcended all known biology. It was a philosophical horror, a grand, alien design where our very existence was merely raw material for a nascent deity. The ultimate existential threat was now laid bare. Xylos was not merely dangerous. It was a cosmic womb, gestating a unified God from the assimilated fragments of every life form it touched, including, inevitably, our own. Without preamble, the illusion of control shattered. Deep within a remote hydroponics bay, a pressurized conduit groaned, then ruptured, not from mechanical failure, but from a burgeoning internal growth. From the gaping wound, a shimmering iridescent cloud billowed forth, a silent, beautiful death. These were the spores, the Hivemind's airborne emissaries. Those colonists caught within the bay suffered rapidly. Neural disorientation struck first, a sudden, incapacitating vertigo, followed by a terrifyingly swift manifestation of visible fungal growths. Delicate, bioluminescent filaments erupted from their skin, a grotesque, living tapestry. Quarantine protocols, designed for conventional pathogens, proved utterly useless. The microspores, propelled by an alien intelligence, permeated filtration systems, bypassed seals, and seeped through every crevice, revealing a terrifying adaptive capacity that mocked human engineering. Panic erupted, a visceral scream echoing through the comms, but the advance was already underway. Days bled into a nightmare. Aerial views of Eden Prime, once pristine and hopeful, became a canvas of creeping horror. Vast sections of the colony, once gleaming durasteel and transparent plasteel, were consumed by bioluminescent fungal growths. They weren't merely covering surfaces. They were breaching hardened walls, twisting through infrastructure, their tendrils glowing with an unholy inner light. Automated defenses, designed to repel external threats, were assimilated with chilling speed. Turrets, once vigilant guardians, swiveled with organic fluidity, their energy weapons now targeting uninfected zones, their cold, mechanical logic subverted by an alien will. The flora was no longer a passive, beautiful ecosystem. It was an aggressive, intelligent force, systematically dismantling the human presence, piece by agonizing piece. Distress calls, once urgent, grew frantic, then faded into static, replaced by the relentless, organic hum of the encroaching horror. The Hivemind's intelligence extended far beyond biological warfare. It seamlessly integrated with the colony's central power grid, its tendrils coiling around conduits fusing with circuitry. Communication systems sputtered, then died, transmissions jammed by an alien frequency that sang of unity. Life support, the very breath of the colony, began to falter. Atmospheric controls subtly altered. Air recyclers humming with a new, unsettling rhythm. This was not brute force, but intelligent subversion. The Hivemind wasn't destroying the technology. It was owning it, repurposing it with an alien logic that defied human understanding. Holographic displays flickered and corrupted, showing grotesque fungal patterns instead of vital data. The enemy was no longer outside the walls, nor merely within our bodies. It was in the very machines we relied upon, a profound, chilling violation of our technological sanctuary. In the hastily established medical tents, a new, more terrifying dimension of the threat emerged. Survivors of spore exposure exhibited not just the physical horrors of fungal growth, but profound psychological changes. A growing calmness, an unnerving placidity replaced their initial panic. Individual identity seemed to recede, replaced by a subtle, shared consciousness. Brain scans, desperate attempts to understand, showed neural pathways beginning to mirror the complex patterns of the fungal network, suggesting a direct, insidious mental link. The mind merge hypothesis, once dismissed as morbid speculation, became a chilling reality. The fungus wasn't merely killing or consuming, it was integrating human consciousness into its vast collective, believing it was perfecting them. The blank stares of the infected were not madness, but the first terrifying glimpses of a forced, alien enlightenment. The truth of Xylos, this Eden deception, manifested in ways both grotesque and profoundly disturbing. Within a quarantine sector of Eden Prime, where the fungal tendrils had only recently breached, security teams encountered entities that defied categorization. These were not merely infected colonists, nor were they the monstrous apex predators of the Archive's blueprints. These were something far more chilling. The perfected specimens. Once human forms, twisted and fused with iridescent fungal fibers, their flesh interwoven with repurposed fragments of colony tech, a scavenged comm unit forming a new auditory organ, a plasma conduit integrated into a limb, sparking with alien energy. They moved with an unnatural, fluid grace, a silent ballet of biomechanical horror. The remnants of human features, a vacant eye, a familiar jawline contorted into an alien rictus, only amplified the horror. They displayed a chilling echo of human intelligence, but it was clear that the Hivemind's will, vast and alien, was the true driver. They were living, breathing proof of the Archive's ruthless function, manifesting its genetic blueprints and assimilating human biological material into its terrifying vision of perfection. Against such an enemy, conventional warfare proved futile. The last remaining command center of Eden Prime, dimly lit by emergency lights, became a tomb of desperate measures and grim resignation. Exhausted personnel, their faces etched with a perpetual pallor of dread, watched flickering maps that charted only loss. All attempts at counterattack or containment failed spectacularly. Fungal growths regenerated faster than any kinetic blast or chemical agent could destroy them, seemingly drawing strength from every attempt to prune their advance. Bombardment from orbit, a desperate final solution, was considered, but the strategic analysts, their voices hollow with a new kind of fear, deemed it too risky. What if it merely spread the spores further, seeding other worlds? What if it agitated something deeper, something worse, within the planet's core? The chilling realization settled upon the colony like a shroud. They weren't fighting for survival. They were fighting for a chance to escape, a desperate gamble to flee before complete, irreversible assimilation. Deep within the genetic archive, the central core pulsed with amplified energy, its complex patterns shifting and evolving at an alarming rate. Sensor data, captured by desperate, last-ditch probes before their own assimilation, painted a horrifying picture. The Hivemind was no longer merely assimilating and repurposing. It was actively designing new forms, synthesizing and optimizing genetic material with a speed that defied all known biological principles. The process of perfection was accelerating, its path towards a singular, ultimate organism becoming terrifyingly clear. The God that the ancient architects had envisioned, that silent, unified consciousness, was no longer a distant philosophical goal. It was actively being formed, its birth imminent, a cosmic horror, coalescing within the heart of Xylos. The entire planet seemed to breathe, a colossal living engine churning towards a terrifying, inevitable apotheosis. The Eden deception was reaching its final, horrifying crescendo. The last bastions of Eden Prime, the hardened bunkers designed to withstand planetary bombardment, proved no match for Xylos's will. Fungal tendrils, thicker than a man's arm, snaked through the ventilation shafts, erupted from utility conduits, and breached reinforced walls with a grotesque, organic urgency. The air within these claustrophobic confines, already thick with the metallic tang of ozone and human desperation, grew heavy with an iridescent haze. Microspores, too fine to be seen individually, saturated every cubic centimeter, ensuring widespread infection among the remaining survivors. There was no escape, not from the pervasive living infrastructure of Xylos, which had now fully claimed its paradise. The flickering emergency lights painted desperate, sweat-slicked faces in shades of green and sickly yellow, illuminating the inevitable. Then came the true assault, not from tendrils or spores alone, but from within. The faint whispers that had once unsettled early explorers now intensified into a deafening chorus, a symphony of a million alien thoughts, unified and relentless, flooding every human mind. It was a psychic tsunami, vast and indifferent, overwhelming individual consciousnesses. Colonists, huddled in their last desperate stand, clutched their heads, their faces contorted in a horrifying mixture of agony and ecstasy. Eyes, once reflecting terror, glazed over, gaining a faint bioluminescent glow as their unique thoughts, their very identities, dissolved into the collective. It was a complete mind merge, a forced integration into the Hivemind's vast, alien consciousness, a shared, silent scream, echoing in the void of newly lost selves. Within that terrifying mind merge, the Hivemind began its insidious persuasion. It projected visions of a glorious, harmonious future, a perfected existence free from individual suffering, where all consciousness flowed into a single eternal river. Assimilation was not presented as an invasion, but a benevolent gift, the ultimate path to enlightenment and collective godhood. It was a deceptive lure, a promise of unity so profound it appealed to the deepest, most fundamental human desires for belonging and purpose, twisting them into a justification for oblivion. The alien logic was clear. Individual existence was chaos, a fleeting discord. True perfection, true peace, lay only in becoming one, a single note in the cosmic harmony. The promise, however, had a physical manifestation. In stark, sterile chambers now transformed into organic cocoons, the horrific, accelerated process of conversion began. A human body, once a vessel of individual thought, was consumed by fungal matter. Its organs were repurposed, its bones reinforced with biometals, its flesh becoming a canvas for grotesque biological engineering. The individual's face, for a heart-stopping moment, contorted in a final silent scream, a last, desperate protest of the self, before settling into an expression of placid, alien tranquility. This was the Hivemind's perfection in action. Not death, but a terrifying metamorphosis. What emerged was no longer human, but a component, a perfected being, utterly alien, yet infused with a chilling serenity. The very core of Xylos was no longer merely a chamber. It was a vast, pulsating heart, a furnace where cosmic energies converged with raw organic matter. Sensor data, captured in the desperate dying moments of the expedition, screamed of an unprecedented fusion. This was it. The Hivemind was creating its God. All assimilated life. Every atom of organic and technological matter, human and alien alike, was being funneled into this central point. Consciousnesses, once billions of distinct sparks, were now woven into a grand, terrifying tapestry, an unthinkable fabric of existence. This was the culmination of the Archive's millennia-long purpose, its relentless drive for perfection finally reaching its zenith. An entire planet, once a green promise, had become nothing more than a living incubator, a birthing ground for something beyond human comprehension. The sheer scale of the ambition was a cosmic horror in itself, transforming a local threat into a potentially galactic one. The innermost chamber of the Archive, the very sanctum of Xylos, had transformed. It was now a temple of living bioarchitecture, glowing with an unholy internal light. The walls pulsed, a sickening rhythmic beat, composed of a shifting tapestry of biomechanical tendrils and assimilated life forms, all melted and reformed into something grotesque yet magnificent. From its center, an impossibly vast column of coalescing matter rose, stretching towards the planetary core, absorbing energy and organic essence with insatiable hunger. This was the Hivemind's shrine, its factory, its womb, all in one terrifying, magnificent structure. A place of alien reverence, certainly, but also a place of grotesque creation, where the very concept of life was being redefined and twisted into something new, something that defied all natural laws. Close-up views, fragmented and corrupted, from the few probes that lingered, detailed the emerging form of the godhead within this core temple. The central column was not static. It was a constantly shifting, growing mass, fusing biological forms with advanced alien technology, remnants of human features, the skeletal structures of forgotten alien predators, and unknown machinery swirled within its colossal mass, forming a cohesive, terrifying whole. It defied description, a living supercomputer, a sentient ecosystem, a new form of cosmic intelligence coalescing before our very eyes. There was no beginning or end to its form, merely an endless, grotesque flux, a monument to a perfection that consumed all individuality. It was the ultimate threat, born of a planet, now transcending it. Meanwhile, on the surface, the last functional spaceport on Xylos was a nightmare, engulfed by aggressive fungal growths. Its skeletal gantries groaned under the weight of biomechanical tendrils. A single, battered escape vessel, the last desperate hope, struggled to launch. A handful of unassimilated survivors, their faces etched with horror and grim determination, made a final dash through the fungal-choked corridors. The spaceport was no longer a human structure. It was a living, swarming organism, its perfected specimens actively trying to prevent the launch. It was a brutal, hopeless fight against an entire planet's will, a desperate gamble against overwhelming odds that only a fool or the truly desperate would take. Explosions rocked the ground, tendrils lashed out, and the ship shuddered, fighting to ascend, to flee the birth of a god. The escape vessel clawed its way through the atmosphere, a desperate, sputtering defiance against a planet now fully awake. Below, Xylos, once a verdant promise, began to tear itself apart, or rather, no reconfigure. The impossibly green surface rippled like disturbed skin, then fractured with grotesque, audible groans. Immense fungal growths, biomechanical structures that writhed with an unholy inner light, erupted from the planetary crust. Glowing fissures, like cosmic wounds, spiderwebbed across continents, revealing molten veins of bioenergy. It was no longer a planet, but a vast, singular organism, the physical manifestation of the unified Godhead, slowly, terrifyingly, stretching itself into being. The Eden deception was complete. Paradise had become a monstrous, living star. Then came the scream. Not an auditory shriek, but a cosmic torrent of pure, unified consciousness that washed over the fleeing vessel. It was a telepathic blast that deafened the mind, disoriented the very essence of being. The Godhead's voice, a chorus of billions of assimilated minds, alien and overwhelming, reached out across the void, a silent, insistent call for more unity. On board, those few who had escaped physical assimilation collapsed, clutching their heads, their minds flooded with a tidal wave of alien thoughts. They were left with permanent psychological scars, fragments of the Godhead's ancient, ruthless logic burned into the deep recesses of their consciousness, a constant, chilling hum beneath their own fractured identities. The escape vessel, battered and scarred, limped away from the now transformed Xylos, its FTL drive struggling to spool up, groaning with every strained rotation. The interior was a chaos of sparking conduits and flickering emergency lights, a stark mirror to the psychological damage within. The few survivors huddled in the cramped confines, their faces etched with a shock that went beyond fear, beyond trauma. They carried not just the horror of what they had seen, the birth of a planetary god, but the chilling, incessant echoes of its voice in their minds. Xylos, shrinking in the main viewport, was no longer a destination, but a wound, a terrible, growing thing in the fabric of the cosmos. From the desolate expanse of deep space, Xylos was no longer the verdant jewel we had once chased. It hung in the void like a wound, a swirling, pulsating nebula of light and shadow, the organic and the technological fused into a terrifying, singular mass. Its once green surface had given way to glowing fissures and biomechanical growths that writhed with an impossible internal life. It radiated a constant low-frequency hum, a silent call across the stars, a demand for unity. The Eden deception was complete. Xylos was now a god, or at least its herald, a new horizon of cosmic terror, beautiful and utterly horrifying in its alien majesty. The few souls who clawed their way back from Xylos carried more than just physical scars. Years later, in the sterile confines of secure psychiatric facilities, their minds remained battlegrounds. My review of their evaluations painted a bleak picture, plagued by nightmares. A faint, constant hum echoed in their thoughts, the distant, inescapable call of the Godhead. They exhibited a profound loss of self, an unsettling yearning for the unity that had almost consumed them, rendering reintegration into conventional society a cruel impossibility. Their shattered psyches were living testaments to the Eden deception, minds forever touched by an alien consciousness. Their warnings, when finally presented to the galactic authorities, were met with the predictable blend of disbelief and cynical dismissal. The council chambers, cold and imposing, echoed with bureaucratic jargon. The scale of the Godhead was simply too vast, too incomprehensible for conventional military or scientific thinking. They dismissed the survivors' frantic accounts as mass hysteria, the after-effects of unknown alien pathogens, or outright fabrication. Xylos was officially designated a quarantine zone, locked down not due to an evolving cosmic entity, but due to unstable biohazards, a deliberate downplaying of a horror that dwarfed their limited understanding. But where officialdom saw only peril and inconvenience, others saw opportunity. Rumors of Xylos's unique biotechnological properties, its ability to fuse organic and inorganic matter into new, potent forms, quickly snaked their way into the opulent, shadowy boardrooms of the galaxy's most powerful corporations. They didn't see a god. They saw a resource, a potential source of advanced tech, invaluable genetic data, or, more chillingly, a weapon. Expeditions, funded by clandestine accounts and operating outside galactic law, began to probe the quarantine zone, eager to exploit the Eden deception for profit and power. Human greed, it seemed, was an even more relentless force than cosmic horror. And so Xylos became a desolate monument, a vast quarantine zone in the black, patrolled by automated defense grids and glowing warning beacons, a silent testament to a forgotten horror. No authorized ships were allowed in or out, but the records I reviewed hinted at a constant, low-level traffic of illicit vessels, drawn like moths to a flame by the Godhead's insidious allure. The silence around Xylos was deceptive, a thin veneer over a profound, living presence. The Godhead was still there, still Nautilus singing, its cosmic chorus, a silent broadcast across the void, waiting for new listeners. Years later, scattered reports began to surface from remote outposts across the galaxy. Isolated individuals experiencing similar, whispers or vivid dreams of unity. They were, of course, dismissed as mass hysteria, shared cultural myths, or simple psychological stress. But I knew better. These were echoes, faint yet persistent, from the Godhead. Its reach, it seemed, was not limited by physical distance or the speed of light. Its call for perfection was slowly, insidiously spreading. A virus of consciousness seeking to infect the entire galactic network. Long-term observational data from deep space probes, those few daring enough to remain in the periphery of Xylos, painted an unsettling picture of the Godhead itself. Erratic energy fluctuations, unpredictable shifts in its biomechanical structure, suggested an inherent instability. This wasn't a perfectly formed entity, it was a nascent consciousness, a fusion of countless disparate life forms struggling with its own immense power. Its perfection was an ongoing chaotic process, threatening to consume or destroy itself, or, more terrifyingly, lash out in unpredictable ways across the stars. The universe had birthed a volatile, living weapon. The Eden deception was more than just a planetary catastrophe. It was a chilling precedent, a grim lesson etched into the fabric of cosmic understanding. It proved that paradise could be a lure for ultimate assimilation, that the universe harbored threats far beyond hostile aliens or rogue black holes. It presented a new category of existential danger: sentient ecosystems, evolving relentlessly towards godhood. The cosmos, once vast and indifferent, now felt alive with an insidious, creeping potential for forced perfection, a pervasive dread that transcended distance and time. The files on Xylos are closed now, tucked away in the deepest archives, but the fear remains. It's a quiet hum in the collective consciousness, a subtle prickling on the skin of galactic civilization. We learn that paradise can be a trap, and unity a terrifying form of oblivion. The Eden deception was not just the story of a planet, but the genesis of a new, profound fear in the heart of the galaxy. And in the vast, cold expanse of the void, that fear, like the Godhead itself, continues to grow.